Once upon a time in a sub-Saharan village, there lived a young man named Tuka. He was very handsome, hardworking, and the most successful hunter in the village. But despite his achievements and magnificent physique, all the ladies in the community refused to marry him. They rejected him because he was very wicked and cared only about himself. He was so mean that he abandoned his aged mother to wander from street to street, picking food from the ground until one morning, her dead body was discovered under a mango tree by the roadside. He was her only child and she dedicated her entire life taking care of him. She bought his first bow and arrow that he used to start hunting. This was how he repaid her, and he had no remorse. One day Tuka went to the market and saw a very beautiful girl buying things, and he instantly developed strong feelings for her. But he feared she might reject him like the rest of the girls. He asked about the girl, but no one knew where she came from. The villagers called her the strange girl because they had never seen anything like her. She was beautiful beyond comparison, and her eyes were as cold as those of a dead fish. Those who had come closer to her testified that she smelled like fresh fish from the river. They used to see her every market day, but had no idea where she came from. Some say she was from a neighboring village. But the majority of people claimed she was too beautiful to be human and that she must be a spirit living among men. Tuka wanted her to be his wife and didn't care whether she was a spirit or human. And truly, he had no idea the kind of creature he was dealing with, and he was about to find out. He planned to know where she came from and believed that knowing her origin would greatly increase his chances of making her his wife. Aside from being wicked, he was very stubborn, and whenever he set his heart on something, he would go through any fire to achieve it. The next market day, Tuka went to the market very early and waited for the strange girl to show up. Periodically he would move around the market searching, but didn't see her until when the sun was about to set. Then he saw her coming. He watched, like an eagle watching after his prey, as she moved from one spot to another buying things, and she hardly talked. She would pay money and wouldn't wait to collect the change. She greeted no one and used only new currency notes, and she had plenty. When she saw poor people, she would give them money and keep walking. She wouldn't pause to respond to their expression of gratitude. When the poor saw her, they positioned in the front so that she would see them, and she never disappointed them. When she was done, she hurried out of the market and the wicked hunter followed her. She got onto a path that led to another village. There were many people on the path, but she was walking alone. Many of the people were walking and chatting in groups. The women balanced their calabash and wooden baskets on their heads as they walked home. Some of them had babies strapped to their backs. The strange girl branched off a smaller path that led to a tiny village in the south. The hunter was still following her through the forest. Few people were on this path. After about 5 minutes, she began to slow down, and all the people who were behind came and passed her, and now she was alone on the track. She stopped and turned around. When she was certain no one was seeing her, she branched off into the forest and began to walk very fast. The hunter continued to follow her from afar. She reached a river and stopped. She looked around, studying the environment very carefully. The villagers didn't use that part of the river, so there were no people around. Tuka hid inside a thick bush and was watching her. When she was done studying the environment, she moved closer to a gigantic tree by the riverside. She put her hand into a hole in the tree and brought out a shiny, scaly fish skin. It was a silvery gown made completely with fish scales. She wore it and immediately turned into a mermaid, got into the water, and swam away. Instead of fear gripping his heart, the wicked hunter became very excited. For the first time in many years, he laughed loudly like a madman. He thought, after these many years of struggling to marry with no success, I have finally gotten the most beautiful girl in the whole world, and the good thing she is free. I won't pay any money on her head. She will not only be my wife but a slave wife, doing everything I commanded. By the time I am done with her, she will beg me to be her husband. His wicked mind began to conjure up an evil plan against the mermaid. He came to where she stood and looked around the big tree. He sat on sand and mapped out his evil plans on how he could get the mermaid to become his slave wife. I will show her the strength and the wisdom of the greatest hunter in the world. A frightening thought came to his mind about the possibility of the mermaid having the power to kill him. But he discarded the idea immediately, and affirmed that he must have her and nothing will stop him, not fear or even death. Throughout that day and the coming days, he wasn't able to concentrate on his job. He was occupied by the thought of the mermaid. Be it at home or in the forest, he would sit down and begin to perfect his evil plans. The next market day came and the hunter went to the forest very early in the morning. He hid inside some cluster of thick grasses. He waited, and at about noon, the mermaid swam to the edges of the waters, together with her 2 mermaid daughters. The daughters waved their fins, saying goodbye to their mother, and swam back into their water kingdom. The mermaid came out of the water, pulled off her scaly fish skin, and changed into the beautiful strange girl. She put the mermaid skin into the hollow of the gigantic tree and headed into the market. The hunter waited. After about 30 minutes, he went and stole the mermaid skin. He took it home, put it inside an earthen jar, and then sealed and buried it at the center of his room. Then he went to the market and stalked the strange girl. When she was done buying things, she left the market and the wicked hunter followed her. She went to the tree and couldn't find her skin. She searched all over the tree. She climbed the tree thinking some animal had dragged it to the top, but didn't see it. She searched the sand on the river bank and kept searching. When it was getting dark, the wicked hunter walked across as if he was passing and asked, "You seem distressed, what is the issue?" She didn't answer him but continued to move from one spot to another looking for her skin. "What is it you are looking for?" he asked. "Do you see anything here? Anything unusual?" She asked. "No, but tell me, I might have seen it with someone." "If you don't tell me, how will I know how to help you?" She feared exposing her identity and refused to tell him what she was looking for. She feared that the villagers might kill her if they knew her identity. She considered humans as creatures that love to cause harm, based on the way she had seen them fighting, killing each other, and doing terrible things to each other. Tuka pretended to be a nice person and started helping her in the search. They searched together until night. He kept asking her to reveal what she lost, but she refused each time. He asked her to follow him to his house and that it would be dangerous for her to remain by the river alone. She refused and he left her. She continued the search, taking advantage of the full moon. She became exhausted and sat close to the river. At about midnight, her daughters swam close to the edge of the river. She got up and went to them in excitement, but they quickly swam away into the water, because they couldn't recognize her. Seeing her daughters run away from her broke her heart. She buried her face in the sand and wept bitterly. Her mind drifted to the good memories she had with her daughters and fear gripped her. She thought, what if I don't find my skin? I will forever lose my daughters. What will happen to them? Will they think that I abandoned them? Maybe they will consider me a terrible mother. She continued to sob until she fell asleep. In the morning the hunter came and helped her. She expanded the search to the nearby bushes and the other side of the river, but didn't find the skin. The hunter stayed with her, and in the night, he advised her to leave the river bank. He emphasized how unsafe it was for a lady to be alone by the river. I am a hunter, he continued. And I can tell you that very dangerous wild animals roam the forest, especially the river bank. They come to drink water and they will kill you if they find you here. Some bad people move in the night and do terrible things to people, especially women. Come to my house and you can stay and return tomorrow to continue with the search. She agreed and followed him. At home, the hunter promised to take good care of her until she found what she was looking for and returned to her people. Indeed, he tried and put on some fake persona. He talked with kindness and put on a fake smile every time he saw her. After 7 days of searching with no result, the mermaid stopped going to the river and also her daughters had stopped coming out to look for her. The hunter thought his plans were working since she had stopped going to the river. He assumed she had forgotten about her skin. But he was mistaken, she was more concerned now than ever. She had only 23 days left to return to the water or she will forever be trapped in the land. The mermaid kingdom had strict rules. If a mermaid spent 30 days outside the water, she wouldn't be able to come inside again. She is banished forever. As the days passed, the mermaid became more concerned. On her 10th day in his house, the hunter said, "You can remain here as much as you want. In fact, I want you to be my wife. Forget about what you are looking for. I love you and want you to be my wife. I will take good care of you." She answered, "I haven't given up and I will still return to my sisters. You are a good man, get a young virgin among your people and marry her. As for me, I already have 2 daughters and I must return to them. I cannot stay here." Anger rose in his heart. He thought, will this one too reject me like the girls of this community? He wanted to pounce on her and beat her mercilessly, but he refrained and decided to stick to his game of deceit. The hunter tried 3 more days with the same marriage proposal and each time she refused. He became frustrated and his true color started showing. "You, ungrateful animal," he shouted, "I shelter you inside my home, and care for you, but you don't want to be my wife. I have done so much for you and you must repay me, and the only way is to become my wife." From that day, he seized her freedom and asked her never to step her foot outside. He got a large cane and whenever he asked and she refused his proposal he whipped her like a slave. She would cry and begged him, but he would flog her until he was satisfied. She got bruises and marks all over her body. She wanted to run away, but to where? She considered all humans to be the same cruel creatures. Things were getting more difficult for the mermaid with each passing day, both emotionally and physically. With each day that passed, she was coming closer to losing her daughters forever. And it was the pain that cut deep into her heart, deeper than the pain of the flogging from the wicked hunter. One day when the hunter went to the forest, she came out and sat in front of the house. She saw people going and coming out from a neighbor's house. She stopped some of the women and asked what was happening and they responded, "A young man is ill, so we went to greet him." "Is it how you do things here?" "Yes," they answered. "If a neighbor or relation is sick, we go and greet them. The mermaid went into the house to greet them. She saw the young man lying on the bed and was breathing with difficulty. Everyone had given up on the young man and was waiting for him to die. He didn't respond to any of the herbs that were given to him. His wife couldn't endure and she ran away. The mermaid still possessed her mermaid knowledge. She knew what was wrong with him and the right concoction that would heal him. So, she went into the forest and got a bunch of roots, leaves, and stems from different plants. She brought and instructed the man's mother to cook and give him. After 2 days of giving him the herbs, he got much better and started talking and eating. The people thanked her and she got friendly with the young sick man. She continued to come to see him, sneaking out when the wicked hunter had left home. One day the young man noticed marks and bruises on her body and asked, "He did this to you, right?" "Your husband. I know him, he is very wicked." "He is not my husband and I am not his wife," she answered. "Then why do you live with him?" She became quiet. The young man sensed something horrible was going on with the mermaid. Captivated by her kindness and beauty, he had begun to fall in love with her and was ready to do anything to help her. He said, pointing to the bruises, "Tell me if he is the one that do this to you and why do you still live with him?" She saw how genuine and caring he was and felt she could trust him. The truth was, she too was beginning to fall in love with him. She said, "If you know the true, who truly I am, can you still accept me?" "I am not what you think." He answered, "I promise I will accept you and I will do whatever in my power to help you. You save my life, I am forever in your debt. You can trust me." She said, "I don't belong here, I am not a human being." She went further to reveal her true identity as a mermaid and how she used to come every market day to buy things. And how she lost her skin and also how Tuka appeared and helped her and how she is now trapped in his house. He was so moved by her story and the wickedness she had endured from the wicked hunter that tears rolled down his cheeks. But he quickly wiped them off. And said, "I know who has your skin." "You do?" she asked surprisingly. "Yes, I do and I promise I will help you get it back even if it means giving my life. Your daughters are waiting for you and you don't have many days left. Can you tell me how many days you have left out of the 30 days? After tomorrow it will be 30 days, and I will forever miss my daughters and my world. Tell me, who has my skin?" Tuka the wicked hunter, that's what we call him in this village, because he is the most wicked person in this community. "How do you know?" "He has been asking about you all over this village before we start seeing you living together. And people have seen him stalking you in the market. He must be the one that followed you, saw where you hid your skin, and later stole it. And then came and pretended to help you. It's all his strategy to get you into his house and now he is forcing you to be his wife. Can't you see how everything plays out? He is the one, I am as sure as I am about the sun shining tomorrow. Without wasting time, let's go and find your skin. You are running out of time." They got up and went into Tuka's house. They searched everywhere but couldn't find the skin. "He must have hidden it outside this house," she said. "I don't think so," the young man replied, "that's not how men reason in this village. Men always keep things they consider valuable close to them." After a moment of thought he said, "I think I know where he hides it." "Where?" "He must have buried it in this house." This wasn't something hard for him to figure out because men in the village would always hide their valuable possessions by burying them. They began to search the floor of the house. And behold, under the table in his room, they saw a place that was recently disturbed. The young man dug and saw the earthen jar. He raised it and smashed it on the floor, and lo and behold, there was her scaly skin. Tears of joy ran down her cheeks and she hugged the young man passionately. "Thank you," she said between tears. The door opened and Tuka, the wicked hunter, stepped in. Sensing something was taking place in his room, he rushed in, pushed her to the ground, and snatched the skin. He shouted, "It is mine, and so also is you." He turned to the young man, "As for you, I will kill you today in my house." When it comes to fighting, the young man was no match for this vicious hunter, and also, he had not fully recovered from the illness, but he was determined to help the mermaid. So, he jumped and grabbed the hunter and sank his teeth into the hunter's belly. Blood was coming out. The skin fell to the ground and the young man grabbed it and tossed it to the mermaid and shouted, "Run to your daughters, run and don't look back." She caught the skin and started running. The young man held tightly the two legs of the hunter and refused to let go. The hunter delivered powerful punches to the young man, yet he refused to release his grip. After much struggle, the hunter took a knife and stabbed the young man. The blade passed through his ribs. He dropped down and was motionless. His eyes turned pale and blood spread on the floor. The hunter took his bow and arrow and started running after the mermaid. The mermaid reached the river, quickly put on her skin, and changed into a mermaid. She stepped into the river, and as she was about to swim home, she heard, "Come out or I will shoot you." "I must have you or you die," the hunter said, aiming his arrow at her. She responded, "Don't shoot me. If you shoot, it will be the greatest mistake you ever make and the last one." He counted, 1, 2, and he released the arrow. When the metal head made contact with her body, the hunter experienced a sharp pain in his chest, precisely where the arrow had struck her, and he noticed blood oozing from that area. The mermaid rule was, when a mermaid is inside water, any harm a human inflict on her will transfer completely to the person. He held his chest and dropped death on the sand. The mermaid swims into the kingdom to stop the 30 days count and immediately came out. She pulled off her skin, hid, and ran to the village. She had a feeling that something terrible had happened to the young man and may need her help. She found him on the verge of death. She treated him, and on the 4th day he regained consciousness, but before he could open his eyes, she ran away. Her love for the young man was intensifying, and she feared that if they locked eyes, she might forsake her daughters and the water kingdom to be with him. Therefore, she departed in tears, never to be seen again. Thanks for watching, and may today, tomorrow, and the coming days bring blessings into your life.